Let's be real. Building self-confidence isn't as easy as some people make it seem. We've all been there, standing in front of the mirror, doubting ourselves, thinking we're not good enough. But here's the truth. No one tells you. Confidence isn't something you're born with. It's something you build. And no, it's not all about pretending to be someone you're not, or faking it until you make it. Forget those overused cliches. In this video, we're diving deep into the real way to build unshakable confidence, one that doesn't rely on external validation or quick fixes. If you're tired of feeling stuck, if you're done with the self-doubt that holds you back from seizing opportunities, then you're in the right place. Stick around, because I'm about to give you the tools, the strategies, and the mindset shifts that will change the way you see yourself and the world around you. Trust me, this is not just another feel-good video. We're going beyond the surface. Keep watching and let's break through the barriers together. Number 1. Embrace your flaws, the power of unfiltered authenticity. You know that little voice inside your head that whispers, "If only you were perfect, everything would be easier." What if I told you that perfection is the very thing standing in the way of your self-confidence? Yes, you heard me right. Perfection is overrated, and here's the kicker, it's not even real. But I get it. We're all conditioned to believe that being flawless is the ultimate goal. It's how we think we'll gain respect, approval, or love. But what if embracing your imperfections could actually be the key to unlocking an unshakable confidence? Now, you might be thinking, wait, what? How can embracing my flaws make me more confident? It sounds counterintuitive, doesn't it? But stick with me here. Let's be real for a second. Have you ever spent hours, days, or even weeks trying to perfect something, whether it's a presentation at work, a social media post, or even just how you look in front of people? The truth is, we've all been there, right? That feeling of constantly trying to meet unrealistic standards, only to fall short or feel drained. It's exhausting. And guess what? It's not necessary. What if I told you that your flaws, those things you hide, fix, or apologize for, are actually your secret weapons? You see, perfection might seem like the goal, but authenticity is what makes you magnetic. People don't connect with perfect facades. They connect with raw, unfiltered humanity. When you allow yourself to be imperfect, you invite others to do the same. And that's where the magic happens. You stop trying to be someone you're not, and you start feeling more at ease in your own skin. Confidence doesn't come from trying to be flawless. It comes from owning every part of you, flaws and all. Think about it. When you see someone who's genuinely themselves, imperfections and quirks on full display, don't you feel a sense of admiration? There's a strength in their vulnerability that makes them, well, real. And that's what builds confidence. Let me give you a personal example. A few months ago, I was preparing for a major presentation at work. The pressure to be perfect was overwhelming. I spent so much time nitpicking over every slide, overanalyzing every word, worrying that someone might find a flaw in my delivery. It was draining. The night before the presentation, I realized something. I was so caught up in trying to present a perfect version of myself that I'd forgotten the most important thing, authenticity. So I decided to take a risk. I walked into that meeting and instead of pretending to have all the answers, I shared the struggles I'd faced in preparing and the lessons I'd learned along the way. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. And you know what? It was a game changer. My team appreciated the honesty and relatability, and the feedback was incredibly positive. Not because I nailed every detail, but because I was genuine. That's the power of embracing your flaws. This is about reclaiming your space, your peace, and your dignity. When you stop hiding behind perfection, you stop giving power to fear and judgment. You start valuing yourself for who you are, not who you think you should be. It's okay to stumble. It's okay to not have it all together. We all feel that impulse to over-explain ourselves, to apologize for every little mistake. But let me tell you something. You don't owe anyone an apology for being human. Embrace your flaws, because those are the very things that make you stand out. They make you real, and that's more powerful than any polished image could ever be. So, here's the takeaway. Your flaws are not your weaknesses. They're your power. When you stop hiding them, you stop living for others' approval, and you start living for yourself. And trust me, there's nothing more confident than that. Your space, your peace, your dignity. Own them all. Number 2, fail fast, fail forward. How to rewire your fear of failure. What if I told you that failing is one of the best things you could do for your growth? Yes, you heard me right, failure. We've all been taught to fear it, avoid it, and do everything in our power to prevent it. But here's the catch. What if failure is the very thing holding you back from your next big breakthrough? You might be thinking, wait a minute, that sounds a little too risky. But trust me on this. There's a radical truth here that could change how you approach everything you do. You know the feeling, right? You've got a big goal, a dream you're chasing, and you're doing everything you can to make it work. You study, you practice, you plan, and yet, failure seems like it's just one wrong step away. The fear creeps in. What if I'm not good enough? What if it doesn't work out? And then, instead of pushing forward, you start holding back, trying to avoid that potential failure at all costs. We've all been there, haven't we? The constant balancing act between wanting to take risks and the nagging fear that it could all fall apart. Here's the thing. What if you stopped running from failure and started using it as a launch pad? Sounds crazy, right? But hear me out. The strategy is simple. Fail fast, fail forward. It's about leaning into failure instead of letting it paralyze you. The faster you fail, the quicker you can learn, pivot, and improve. When you fail forward, you don't just get knocked down and stay there. You use the experience to get closer to your goal. It's like learning to ride a bike. The first time you fall, it's painful, but every fall gets you a step closer to balancing and riding confidently. The secret to success isn't avoiding failure. It's using failure as feedback, a tool for growth. Let me share a quick story. A few years ago, I was working on a major project that required me to present my ideas to a big client. I spent weeks preparing, making sure everything was perfect. Every slide, every word, every little detail. But when the moment came, I completely blanked. I forgot half of what I was going to say, and the presentation was nowhere near as smooth as I'd hoped. I was mortified, but instead of beating myself up for failing, I asked myself, what can I learn from this? I looked at where I went wrong, adjusted my approach, and tried again. And you know what? The next presentation went so much better. In fact, I learned more from that first failure than I did from any of my successes. Here's why this works. When you fail fast and fail forward, you remove the emotional baggage that comes with failure. Instead of feeling defeated, you feel empowered because you know you're one step closer to figuring it out. This mindset shift is everything. It's about embracing the process, not just the outcome. Failure isn't the end of the road. It's a checkpoint on the journey to success. This is about reclaiming your space, your peace, and your dignity. You no longer let the fear of failure control your actions. You let the lessons from failure fuel your growth and push you toward your goals with more confidence. So, here's the takeaway. Fail as fast as you can, and fail with purpose. Every failure is a lesson, a step forward. The next time you stumble, don't get discouraged. Get excited. Because with each failure, you're becoming better, stronger, and closer to success. Your space, your peace, your dignity. Embrace them all and remember, failing is just another way of winning. Number 3, the boldness of no. Master the art of refusing to please everyone. Imagine this. You're asked to take on one more project at work, attend yet another family gathering, or agree to help a friend with something that's clearly going to drain you. Your first instinct? To say yes, of course. After all, who wants to disappoint anyone, right? But here's the catch. What if the most empowering thing you could do in that moment is say no? Yes, I'm talking about saying no, and yes, it might sound a little bold, but trust me on this. It's one of the most freeing things you can do for yourself. Now, I know what you might be thinking, but I don't want to upset anyone, or what if I look rude? We've all been there. The pressure to please people can feel overwhelming, and the fear of letting someone down can make us bend over backwards to say yes, when we really should be saying no. You know the type, constantly saying yes to others while silently resenting it. But here's the truth. Constantly trying to please everyone only leaves you drained, stressed, and resentful. And let's be honest, people can't help but notice when you're not giving them your best because you're too busy spreading yourself too thin. So what if you started saying no, not out of selfishness, but out of self-respect? Here's the game changer. Mastering the art of saying no isn't about being rude. It's about taking back control of your time, energy, and mental space. Saying no allows you to preserve your resources for the things that truly matter to you. Your priorities, your peace, your sanity. It's a bold move, but here's why it works. When you say no to the things that drain you, you create space for the things that fuel you. And trust me, when you start doing this, you'll realize that people respect you more, not less. They'll value your time and presence because they know you're giving them your true, undivided self. It's not passive-aggressive, it's empowering. And yes, it might feel uncomfortable at first, but that discomfort is a sign of growth. Let me share a personal experience with you. A few years ago, I found myself saying yes to way too many things. At work, I was the go-to person for every little task, and at home, I couldn't say no to family requests, even when I was burned out. I remember one day getting asked to attend a last-minute family event, even though I was exhausted and had deadlines to meet. My automatic response: "Sure, I'll be there." But as soon as I said it, I felt that familiar pang of frustration. I knew I was overextending myself, so I decided to try something different. The next time a request came up, I took a deep breath, and instead of automatically agreeing, I said, "I'm really sorry, but I can't commit to that right now." At first, I was terrified. I thought I'd be met with disappointment or anger. But instead, the response was understanding, and I felt this huge sense of relief. From that moment on, I realized that saying no wasn't just about turning down requests. It was about protecting my boundaries and making sure I had the energy to give my best when it really mattered. This is about reclaiming your space, your peace, and your dignity. When you say no, you're telling the world that your time and energy are valuable. You're prioritizing your well-being, and that's not selfish, it's necessary. Too often we feel compelled to over-explain ourselves, to justify why we can't take on something. But here's the thing, you don't owe anyone an explanation for taking care of yourself. You don't need to back down just to make someone else comfortable. Saying no is a powerful form of self-respect, and it's something you deserve to practice every day. So, here's the takeaway. Stop fearing the word no. Embrace it. When you say no, you create space for the things that truly matter, and you give yourself the permission to live on your own terms. Your space, your peace, your dignity, own them with confidence. Saying no is not about rejecting others. It's about protecting the most important person in your life, you. Number 4, be your own biggest fan. the truth behind self-admiration. What if I told you that the key to unlocking your full potential doesn't come from external validation, but from learning how to be your own biggest fan? Sounds a little self-centered, right? But trust me, this isn't about arrogance. It's about something far more powerful: self-admiration. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. Isn't that a little narcissistic? Shouldn't I stay humble? Yes, humility is important, but hear me out. Self-admiration is not about boasting or putting others down. It's about genuinely appreciating who you are and celebrating your achievements, no matter how big or small. And I promise you, it's a game changer. Think about it. How many times have you downplayed your accomplishments? Maybe you've nailed a presentation at work, but instead of basking in the moment, you shrug it off with, "It was nothing." Or perhaps you finished a major project, and instead of feeling proud, you immediately focus on what you could have done better. We've all been there, haven't we? The voice in your head telling you that you're not doing enough, that someone else is doing it better, that your work isn't worthy of recognition. That constant self-doubt can be exhausting. But here's the thing. What if you flipped the script? What if instead of tearing yourself down, you started cheering yourself on? Here's the trick. Being your own biggest fan is about shifting the narrative from self-criticism to self-celebration. It's about acknowledging your efforts, embracing your successes, and recognizing your worth, even when others might not. The reason this works is psychological. When you start admiring yourself, you train your brain to seek out the positive, which in turn boosts your confidence and motivates you to keep going. It's like building a muscle. The more you praise yourself, the easier it becomes to see your potential and take on challenges without fear of failure. I know it might feel awkward at first, but trust me, the benefits far outweigh the discomfort. Let me give you an example. A while ago, I was working on a project that took a lot out of me. The whole process was stressful, and there were times when I doubted myself, wondering if I was cut out for it. But after finishing the project, instead of nitpicking every little detail I could have done better, I decided to take a moment to appreciate what I had accomplished. I told myself, this was tough, but I did it. I pushed through, and I got the result I wanted. It felt weird at first, but the more I practiced this positive self-talk, the more confident and motivated I felt. And you know what? The next project was easier, because I had already started building that foundation of self-affirmation. This is about reclaiming your space, your peace, and your dignity. When you become your own biggest fan, you stop waiting for external validation to feel good about yourself. You no longer need to look to others for approval because you've already given it to yourself. It's empowering, liberating even, to realize that you don't need to downplay your worth in the name of humility. You're allowed to acknowledge your greatness, celebrate your journey, and give yourself credit for your hard work. So here's the takeaway. Start being your own biggest fan. Celebrate your wins, honor your progress, and don't let anyone, including yourself, take that away from you. Your space, your peace, your dignity, own them with pride. Because when you admire yourself, you unlock the strength and confidence to go after anything you want. It's not arrogance, it's self-respect. And trust me, you're worth it. Number 5, the confidence of controversy. Speak your mind, even when it's unpopular. What if I told you that the most confident people are often the ones who aren't afraid to stir the pot? Yep, you heard me right. It's not about always being agreeable or playing it safe. It's about having the courage to speak your mind, even when your opinion isn't the popular one. Now, I know that might sound a little uncomfortable. You're probably thinking, wait, isn't that just asking for trouble? Yes, it can be. But trust me, there's a hidden power in speaking your truth, especially when it goes against the grain. We've all been there, right? You're in a room full of people, and everyone seems to be nodding along with the consensus. Maybe it's a work meeting, a group chat, or a family dinner. You know deep down that you have a different perspective, but you hesitate. Why? Because it's uncomfortable. You don't want to rock the boat. You don't want to be the one to make things awkward or worse, be seen as the person who's just trying to start a fight. Sound familiar? I get it. It's easy to want to blend in, to go along with the crowd. But here's the thing. Every time you hold back your true thoughts to avoid confrontation, you're giving away a little piece of your confidence. The real secret is that controversy, when approached with the right mindset, is not your enemy. It's a powerful tool for growth, connection, and self-assurance. When you speak your mind, even if it's not the popular opinion, you're exercising your right to be heard and respected. And here's the kicker. When you do it confidently, you create space for others to think differently too. You don't have to agree with everyone, but you do need to stand firm in your beliefs. Why? Because when you hold back your thoughts to avoid discomfort, you're essentially telling yourself that your voice doesn't matter. But when you speak up, that's when the magic happens. I remember a time when I was in a group discussion at work, and everyone was on the same page, agreeing with a proposal that didn't sit well with me. It felt like I was the only one who thought there was a better way. At first, I wanted to stay silent. After all, who wants to be the lone voice of dissent? But something inside me said, "Speak up." So I did. I shared my perspective, knowing it might not be well received. And you know what happened? A few people were actually grateful that I said something. Not because my idea was revolutionary, but because it sparked a conversation. It allowed others to think critically and question the direction we were headed. That's the power of speaking your mind. You don't just speak for yourself, you give others permission to do the same. This is about reclaiming your space, your peace, and your dignity. Speaking your mind, even when it's unpopular, isn't about being rebellious for the sake of it. It's about respecting yourself enough to stand by your beliefs, even when they might cause a little tension. It's about owning your opinions and not being afraid to let them be heard. And let me tell you, the moment you stop being afraid of controversy, you'll notice a shift. Your confidence will skyrocket, not because you always get it right, but because you no longer shrink to fit someone else's mold. So here's the final thought. The next time you feel that hesitation rising up, when you know you have something to say but you're worried about the backlash, remember this: your voice matters, your opinion counts, your confidence grows every time you speak your truth, no matter how unpopular it may be. So go ahead, stir the pot, speak your mind. The world needs more people who aren't afraid to be a little controversial. It's how you show up for yourself. It's how you reclaim your space, your peace, and your dignity. Number 6. Live uncomfortably. Why your comfort zone is your worst enemy. What if I told you that your comfort zone is actually your worst enemy? Yeah, it sounds a little backwards, right? After all, the comfort zone is supposed to be where we feel safe, secure, and, well, comfortable. But here's the thing. Staying in your comfort zone is the fastest way to stagnate. It's like putting your life on autopilot and expecting to arrive somewhere new. Trust me, it doesn't work that way. Now, I know you might be thinking, but why would I want to leave the one place that feels safe? Well, stay with me for a minute. You've been there before, haven't you? That feeling of settling into a routine that feels easy, maybe too easy. It's like that familiar chair you sink into at the end of a long day. You know exactly how it feels, and it's comforting. But what happens when you stay in that chair too long? You get stiff, you get stuck, you stop growing. We've all been there, playing it safe, choosing the predictable path because, well, why risk it? Why step outside the comfort zone when everything seems fine just the way it is? But deep down, we know fine isn't enough. Here's the twist, though. The discomfort is where the magic happens. The real growth doesn't come from staying where you feel the safest. It comes from pushing those boundaries. You know, trying that new thing that feels terrifying. Applying for that job you're not sure you're qualified for. Speaking up when you'd rather stay quiet. It's uncomfortable, yes. But it's also where you evolve. Think about it. The things you've done that have led to real change in your life, they probably weren't the easiest choices. But by stepping into discomfort, you're actually stepping into your potential. Let me give you a personal example. A few years ago, I was stuck in a job I was comfortable in. I knew what to expect every day and I was good at it. But deep down, I was itching for something more. I wanted to take on new challenges, but it felt risky. I kept telling myself, maybe next year, maybe after I'm more prepared. But then one day, I got a chance to try something completely new, something way outside my comfort zone. It was scary, it was uncertain, and yes, I was terrified. But guess what? It paid off. That uncomfortable leap opened doors I never could have imagined from my safe little bubble. And from that point on, I realized that the discomfort I'd been avoiding was actually the very thing I needed to embrace for growth. Here's the deal. Living uncomfortably doesn't mean you're making reckless choices. It means you're challenging yourself, growing and expanding your horizons. It's about pushing through that initial discomfort and realizing that you're capable of far more than you give yourself credit for. You'll feel stronger, more resilient, and ultimately more proud of yourself when you face those fears head-on. This is about reclaiming your space, your peace, and your dignity. When you choose to live uncomfortably, you're taking ownership of your life. You're no longer waiting for change to come to you. You're making it happen. So the next time you feel that hesitation, that pull to stay where it's safe, remember, your growth lies just beyond that discomfort. And when you step into it, you'll realize that there's no better feeling than living a life that's not dictated by fear. Live uncomfortably because that's where your power is. Your space, your peace, and your dignity. Number 7, mirror therapy. How talking to yourself can build unshakable confidence. What if I told you that one of the most powerful tools for building unshakable confidence is already in your hands? And no, it's not a magic formula or a quick fix hack. It's something that might sound a little strange, but trust me on this. The secret is talking to yourself in the mirror. Yes, mirror therapy. Before you start rolling your eyes, hear me out. This isn't just self-help mumbo-jumbo. It's a scientifically backed strategy that can actually change the way you think about yourself. Now, I know what you're thinking. Talking to myself. That sounds like something out of a movie or a desperate cry for help. But let's break it down. Have you ever had a moment when you felt insecure, like maybe before a big presentation or a tough conversation? Maybe you looked in the mirror, adjusted your outfit, and told yourself, "I've got this." It's no coincidence. That small moment of positive self-talk can actually work wonders on your brain, and it's more powerful than you think. When you talk to yourself in the mirror, you're engaging in a form of self-affirmation, which boosts your confidence and helps you reframe negative thoughts. You're basically teaching your mind that you are worthy, capable, and in control. We've all been there, right? Feeling unsure of ourselves, second-guessing every move. It's like we're our own biggest critics, replaying our mistakes and doubts over and over. You know the type, constantly overthinking, questioning every decision. We've all experienced that inner voice telling us we're not good enough or that we'll never succeed. And honestly, it's exhausting. But what if we could flip that script? What if instead of tearing ourselves down, we built ourselves up? That's where mirror therapy comes in. Here's how it works. Every time you look in the mirror and speak positively to yourself, you're rewiring your brain. It's like planting seeds of confidence that grow stronger over time. Try this. The next time you're feeling less than confident, stand in front of the mirror. Look yourself in the eye and say, "I am capable. I can handle this." Sounds cheesy, maybe. But guess what? It works. When you start doing this consistently, your brain begins to believe it. And that belief becomes the foundation for unshakable confidence. I'll tell you a personal story. A while back, I was preparing for a big meeting at work, something I knew would challenge me. I was feeling all sorts of nerves and self-doubt, wondering if I was prepared enough, if my ideas were good enough. But instead of letting that insecurity take over, I decided to try something different. I looked at myself in the mirror before the meeting and said, "You've got this. You are more than ready." At first, I felt silly, but by the time I walked into that room, something shifted. I felt calm, centered, and sure of myself. And when the meeting was over, I realized that the only thing that had changed was my mindset. The mirror talk worked. It boosted my confidence, and I showed up as my best self. This is about more than just a quick confidence boost. It's about reclaiming your space, your peace, and your dignity. Talking to yourself in the mirror isn't about being vain. It's about recognizing your worth. It's about being kind to yourself when the world feels harsh. And guess what? The more you practice it, the more natural it becomes to believe in yourself. No more backing down from opportunities. No more apologizing for being yourself. You'll start showing up as the person you've always wanted to be. So, next time you're feeling less than confident, give it a try. Stand tall, look in the mirror and say, "I'm ready." Your space, your peace, and your dignity. And, most importantly, your confidence. You've got this. Number 8. Rejection as a confidence booster. The power of being told no. What if I told you that rejection, yes, that dreaded no, could actually be your secret weapon for building confidence? Sounds a bit counterintuitive, right? We've all been there, dreading rejection, feeling like it's the end of the world. But stick with me, because the truth is, rejection can be one of the most powerful tools in your confidence toolkit. Now, I know what you're thinking. No way. Rejection knocks me down, makes me second-guess everything. How could that be empowering? Trust me, I get it. But here's the twist. Rejection isn't a reflection of your worth. It's a stepping stone to something much better. We've all experienced that sting, whether it's not getting the job, hearing no from someone you were hoping to impress, or being overlooked for something you really wanted. It's the kind of rejection that makes you want to shrink into yourself and avoid putting yourself out there again. But let me ask you this. Have you ever looked back at those rejections and thought, that was actually a blessing in disguise? I know I have. Rejection isn't the end of the road. It's just the universe's way of telling you, not this path, try another. And in that moment, when you push through the disappointment, you learn something invaluable about yourself. You realize that the no isn't a reflection of your ability or potential, but rather a chance to grow, learn, and refine your approach. Let's be real for a second. How many of us have avoided putting ourselves out there because we're terrified of hearing no? You know the type, the person who doesn't ask for what they want because they're so scared of rejection. We've all been there. But here's the kicker. The more you experience rejection, the easier it gets to bounce back from it. It's like building a muscle. The first few times it stings, but eventually you develop a kind of resilience. You start to realize that rejection doesn't define you, it refines you. And with each no, you get closer to the yes that truly matters. I can give you a personal example. A few years ago, I pitched an idea I was really passionate about to a potential client. I thought it was a slam dunk, perfect timing, perfect concept. And then I got the no. It stung, I won't lie. I felt deflated and even started to question if I was good enough. But instead of letting it defeat me, I took a step back and asked myself, What can I learn from this? I realized that my pitch wasn't as solid as I thought, and I needed to refine how I presented myself. Fast forward a few months, and I pitched the same idea to a different client. This time I was better prepared, more confident, and they said yes. That rejection had actually been the push I needed to level up. Without it, I wouldn't have refined my approach and ultimately succeeded. This is about reclaiming your space, your peace, and your dignity. Rejection isn't something to fear or avoid. It's something to embrace. When you get told no, it means you're putting yourself out there, taking risks, and learning from the experience. And here's the real beauty. Every rejection is a small victory in disguise, because it means you're getting closer to your goals, even if it doesn't feel like it in the moment. It's not about the no, it's about how you show up after that no. So the next time you face rejection, don't shrink away. Stand tall, learn, grow, and remember, your space, your peace, and your dignity don't rely on anyone else's approval. They're yours no matter what. Rejection isn't your enemy, it's your ally in disguise. Embrace it and let it boost your confidence. You've got this. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this guide to building self-confidence both helpful and insightful. If you got value from this video, don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps out. And if you want to continue building your confidence and unlocking your potential, make sure to subscribe for more content like this. Also, if you know someone who could use a little confidence boost, be sure to share this video with them. Let's spread the power of self-belief. I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share your thoughts or personal experiences with building confidence. Let's start a conversation and support each other on this journey. Remember, confidence isn't about being perfect. It's about being real, being resilient, and believing in yourself every single day. Keep moving forward, and I'll see you in the next video.